Hello everyone, I'm your host BlackTuna and welcome back in another video, and look at who came back from the grave. Well yes, Bless, or should I say Bless Unleashed, has finally reached Steam, and I managed to find my way in the final beta test that they are having on Steam before they actually launch the game. And now I was one of the few unlucky people who actually bought the original Bless Online on PC when it came out, with all those promises, all those changes that they wanted to make, and that never happened. And then the game shut down and they used the money that they got from Bless Online to fund and make Bless Unleashed. So yes, you could say I'm a little bit salty about the situation, but nonetheless, I wanted to jump into this game with a blank slate. I wanted to forget what happened in the past and see from a more objective point of view how is this game compared to the original Bless Online, and if it is a good MMO in general, or a good game in general, if you will. Before we get started, I would like to mention the fact that in the original Bless Online on Steam I have more than 50 hours, and I know it's not a lot for an MMORPG, but considering the state Bless Online was in and the quality of the game itself, together with performance and other issues, I think it's quite a lot. And I would just want to say that I think I have a pretty good understanding of what Bless Online was, how it was, so I would like you to understand that these opinions are not coming out of nowhere. So I have some experience in this franchise specifically, and at the time of recording this video specifically for Bless Unleashed, I have spent exactly 10.5 hours in Bless Unleashed. Now, the game of course starts with the character creator that immediately is much stronger, much more solid than the one seen in Bless Online. There's a lot more customization options, sliders and whatnot, although keep in mind it's not an outstanding character creator, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It comes standard with pretty much any Asian MMORPG. Now, if you played the original game, when you start Bless Unleashed, you will notice that they already removed some of the features of the original game, meaning the faction wars. When you started the game in Bless Online, you could choose between two factions, if you will, and each faction had its own races and classes. Of course, they were pretty much the same thing on both sides, but with different names, but at least they had that, and now they removed this one, so you can rest assured that everyone is gonna start in the same place, everyone is gonna have the same beginning, the same story. Because yeah, if I remember correctly, before, even different races in a faction had different starting points in the map, which is something I never really liked in MMOs, because when I play with my friends and we want to pick different races, different classes, we want to start in the same place. So on this side, in my personal opinion, I do appreciate what they did, although I don't understand why they decided to remove the faction thing. Now, the tutorial is actually pretty short and enjoyable. It just throws you in the action and allows you to play with basically the class that you chose, but at a higher level, meaning with many skills available. So you can get a taste of what's coming, and you can see immediately if you're going to like the class or not. And I also want to mention that the skills that you're going to have in the tutorial for your class are basically all the high level skills that you're going to be able to unlock with your class in the future. Because yeah, apparently these classes don't really have too many options when it comes down to skills. There's just a few of them, you just unlock them by leveling up, so there's not even, you know, different choices that you could make. Maybe at a certain level, maybe you want to learn a fireball instead of a nice shard. Well, there's nothing of that sort. It's a pretty linear progression when it comes down to skills. Then of course later on you can choose which ones you want to upgrade, but I was really expecting something more out of the skill system. But regardless, in the tutorial you actually get a good taste for what the game has to offer, and I have to admit, immediately you can feel it if you played the original game. The combat system has improved a lot. This game basically features the famous action combat system that they wanted to give us in the original Blast, but then again, they ended up shutting down the game. So yeah, it is some sort of action combat system, meaning that you can move sometimes when you use skills. You have to dodge skill shots every once in a while, but the combat itself, it's still so slow that it almost feels like a tab targeting game. Again, it's not a tab targeting game. You can move freely, you have to aim your skills with your mouse and so on and so forth, but it's very, very slow. It's clunky. Even when it comes down to dodging, you can dodge maybe a couple of times in a row before your stamina is depleted and, you won't be able to dodge anymore. You cannot run while fighting because your stamina is gonna be depleted and then you're not gonna be able to dodge or sprint. And the thing is that, you're supposed to be dodging attacks, but most of the times, actually all the times, there's no visual cues for attacks that you have to dodge. So later on, when you end up fighting big bosses that happen to one-shot anyone who stays in range of their attacks, well, you're pretty much screwed. If your eyes move from a split second from the boss and you don't see the boss doing a specific movement, well, you're dead because you're not gonna have any room for dodging or anything else. Still, I want to underline that yes, this is a major improvement over the original combat system, although I'm not completely satisfied with it. And one other element that makes me unsatisfied with this combat system is the fact that you have access to basically 4 skills at all times. Yes, your hotbar, if you even want to call it like that, only gives you access to 4 slots for your skills. And I can't stress enough how disappointing this is for me when I see an MMORPG that restricts you so much when it comes down to the amount of skills that you can have at one time. I don't know, I don't really feel good about it. It feels very restrictive. One good thing about this combat system that I guess balances out the amount of skills that you have available is the combo system. Of course, with your mouse, you're going to be able to use left and right mouse button to do combos. And actually, there's plenty of combos that you can do. At least for my class, I chose a mage. There's plenty of combos with basic attacks that compensate and actually do substantial damage if compared to some of the skills that I have. So I guess you can call this balancing, but I'm still not a fan of this. I want to be able to have as many skills as I want in my hotbar. Now, another thing that you see as soon as you jump into the game is the UI. Now, the UI is actually pretty clean. There's one issue. All the menus, sub-menus, and everything that you have to navigate with your mouse basically sucks because this game was built for console and now is being ported to PC. So the UI itself, while looking clean, it's a mess to navigate because it's not built for mouse and keyboard. And again, I said that the UI is clean, but the menus are still a mess. So yeah, I guess that even with the money that they got from Blast Online, they didn't really manage to create a unique UI for the PC version. Well, what can I say? Money well spent. Now, the experience itself in Blast Unleashed has been middling for me. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the game actually impressed me more than I thought it would. Well, to be fair, I went in kinda with low expectations, but again, I tried to forget what happened in the past, but the game impressed me positively. Again, the experience itself is middling because, questing is hit or miss. Most of the quests are lame and basic. The story is not really too strong, and after a while, you even if you put yourself with the mindset of someone who wants to follow the story, after a while you're just gonna give up because it's so plain, it's so boring that I really didn't feel compelled in continuing to read these dialogues, because again, most of them are not even voice acted. And then why, if there are so many issues, I still think that the experience has been middling, meaning with highs and lows? Well, because for example, the game is visually quite nice. Now again, this is not the most groundbreaking game from a visual standpoint, but I think that the Unreal Engine does its job really well, and I think they managed to use it properly. The environments look nice and clean, and the world itself, it's filled with key locations, you know, settlements, small towns, and in the end it's not really boring to traverse. Well, first of all, you got a mount, which, by the way, it's not that fast, but even if you decide to walk through the map, you will find yourself, or at least I found myself, amused by the environment again. You can get some pretty nice screenshots as well. And yes, visually this game has been an improvement from Bless Online. Now, don't expect Black Desert Remastered level of quality in this MMO, but I think it's fair to say that it's not the ugliest MMORPG that you will ever see. Actually, it's quite decent. Plus, from level 1 to 10, that's where I stopped counting, you face, I think, 3 or 4 bosses. And the cool thing about this game is that the world is filled with bosses. Now, not all of them are world bosses. There are, of course, mini bosses, elite encounters, if you will, and each and single one of them offers a variety of different moves that you have to dodge, different aesthetics, of course, because all of them are different, and so much more. And what contributed to me enjoying these bosses is the fact that there were so many people in this beta, and everyone was just jumping on these bosses and beating the shit out of them. And it really felt alive, you know, people were coordinating. For example, when there were world bosses, people were saying in chat, hey, the harpy spawned in channel 2, come over and let's beat her up. And it really felt alive. I missed this part of an MMORPG. Now, there is something that is a bit unclear to me about world bosses, because after a while they go in a berserk mode, they become all red, and in my first fight against one of these world bosses, you know, everyone was beating these monsters even if they were red in berserk mode. And when they are in berserk mode, they almost get no damage. And the thing is, while we were fighting him, someone said, hey, stop attacking the boss while he's red, we have to let his rage go down, and if you keep attacking him, it will never go down. Now, this never happened because no one was listening to this guy who was saying to do this, to stop attacking him, and there were always 1-2 people who were keeping attacking him and ruining the experience for everyone. Now, the same thing happened with another world boss later on with the harpy, but I'm still not sure if this is an actual game mechanic where you have to stop attacking the boss, or if they were just making a fool out of us. Anyway, the experience has been fun. Now, the issue with this, with bosses, is frame rate. Now, the game doesn't run bad per se. Now, on my machine, I can average 60 FPS most of the times. When you are in a city with a lot of people, it's a little bit lower than that. But then, when you go in big battles, where there's possibly even hundreds of people fighting at the same time, the frame rate suffers a lot. Now, there have been no crashes with this game, so even in the most heated of battles, the game held up pretty well, I guess. The frame rate did suffer a little bit. And now, the thing is that, yes, the game does run somehow well, but there is a caveat. Basically, the rendering distance for Bless Unleashed is the same rendering distance that you would find on a mobile MMORPG. Anything that is 15 meters away from you, you cannot see it. Like literally, I will show you a clip how ridiculous it is. You won't see enemies or players that are 15, maximum 20 meters away from you. So your rendering distance for players and enemies is really ridiculous. Plus, I saw many other people complain in the game chat about performance and on the community hub on Steam. So it's not something that just a few people are encountering, it's many people actually. Now, are they gonna fix performance for the launch day? I highly doubt it, because knowing what they did with Bless Online, I don't think they are gonna give 2 fucks about performance. Now, Bless Unleashed also features dungeons, and when I saw that I was like, oh, cool, instanced dungeons. I love those, right? The issue is that they are not dungeons, and they suck a lot. So what they call dungeons in Bless Unleashed are basically PvE arenas. So you queue up, and once you enter in this dungeon, it's just you and another guy, another person. And you're going to be spawning in this arena. You enter the arena and you're going to have to fight one enemy. You defeat the enemy, you get the reward, you're out. Now there is one challenge that I did that has 2 enemies inside, 2 bosses if you will. Again, not that hard, not impressive, nothing of that sort. But again, why do you call it dungeons? It's not a dungeon, it's a PvE arena. Just call it for what it is. Now, I'm not sure as of now if there are other real dungeons later on, but for now, well, this has been my experience, and the first 3-4 dungeons that are in the game fucking suck. Not because they are bad per se, because the concept is okay, but they suck because they are called dungeons and they get you hyped up when you see them the first time, and then it's just one monster, one enemy that you have to defeat in a few seconds. To defeat the first 3 of them, I believe it takes less than a minute. Well, maybe the third one a little bit more than that, but really, it's ridiculous how little time it takes to complete these challenges. Unfortunately, I'm not able to talk about Cash Shop at the moment because, well, the Cash Shop, yes, is implemented in the game, but you don't even have all the items that they're going to sell later on when the game launches. So it's hard to say if it's going to be pay to win. Now, I think there are going to be XP boosts and all that kind of good stuff. Well, first of all, because they're already available right now in the shop. But secondly, because the leveling up experience is quite slow. And now, I actually enjoy the Bless Unleashed leveling up experience because they don't just throw levels at you in a few minutes. It took me 10.5 hours to reach level 20. So the leveling up experience is definitely not fast, but it's what I love. I really loved the leveling up experience because you get decent amount of experience from questing, but also killing enemies gives you a decent amount of experience. And by decent, I mean, again, that they don't throw levels at you. Every level is achieved. The only thing that I would say that should be fixed about the leveling up experience is skills. Because I feel like every time you level up, it has to be some sort of milestone that you achieve, right? So every level up should be a reward. So if they add more skills in the game, they can scatter them through the levels a little bit better. So that every level you have something new to uncover, a new skill that you can try and see if you like. Apart from that, I really enjoyed it. And I also loved the visual progression for your character, because every piece of equipment that you put on your character is going to change your appearance. I have not found one single piece of equipment that would not change my appearance or that would be a simple reskin of a previous item. I didn't find anything like that. Every item is unique on your character. And visual progression is something that most games lack nowadays, most MMOs. For example, when I played Blade and Soul, I remember the game was so good and I loved the combat system from top to bottom, but I hated the fact that there is no gear that you can put on your characters. Yes, you have your weapon, you have your necklaces and bracelets, and you have your Doritos, but nothing affected your appearance apart from costumes, of course. And I'm glad that Bless Unleashed is actually doing this right. I would have never thought I would say that. But now I would like to reach a conclusion for this video because it's been going on for a while. So what is Bless Unleashed? Bless Unleashed is simply Bless Online 2.0, what Bless Online should have been, I guess. And to me, it has been a very middling experience. Mostly because, again, they made this game basically with the money that they got out of people like me who bought Bless Online. So that is already a major blow for me. Combat system, again, despite being an improvement over the Bless Online one, is still not in the right spot. It needs a lot of polish. It's still clunky, it's slow, sluggish, and most of your attacks, most of your skills lock you in place. Yes, You can dodge roll out of some of them, cancelling the animation, but not all of them. And again, you also have stamina, so you can't dodge roll more than twice in a row. Performance could be a lot better, especially in world bosses where there's a lot of people, probably hundreds of people. Story content, look, I tried to pay attention to it. It's boring, it's plain, it's flat. Doesn't have a personality in my opinion. It doesn't really get me interested. There's no interesting character, and soundtracks have also been recycled from the original Bless. There are also some positives. Combat system is a positive, but just because it's an improvement over Bless Online. There are tons of bosses and elite encounters, each one with a different appearance, different movesets, skills, and all world bosses pretty much one-shot you if they hit you, so watch out. Visually the game is actually quite nice. I love the environment, the world map is quite beautiful with a lot of key locations, and the thing that I like the most about Bless Unleashed is the progression. Both leveling up and gear progression are my favorite elements of this game. Now, with this said, who is this game for? Well, I guess this game is for people who are desperate for a new MMORPG experience. And it's for people who can close an eye on most of the issues that this game has. I don't believe it is for people who love action type combat in MMOs, because again, it is action combat, but it's so slow that it might as well be tab targeting. But in the end, do I recommend playing this game? Hell no. Even if I enjoyed my experience, when I put down this game, I will never ever install it or play it ever again. And this is mostly out of principle, because these people who made Bless Unleashed are the same people who scammed users who bought Bless Online, who put their money in Bless Online with fake promises, fake hopes, and so much more. So out of principle, I cannot and I will never recommend playing this game. But now you have, I think, all the information you need to make your own choice, to make your own judgment for Bless Unleashed. Because this is everything that I had to tell you today. If you enjoyed this video, please do click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, because I will see you again in the next video.